Black Cat is one of the hardest dive DPS characters in Marvel Rivals, but once you understand her movement, gold economy, reset mechanics, and tempo, she becomes one of the hardest characters to stop. Most guides explain what her abilities do, but that's not enough if you actually want to carry with this character. After hitting eternity playing Black Cat and Black Panther, I realized there weren't any advanced guides to actually explain the things that matter. So in this guide, I'm breaking down everything I've learned. Movement, combos, matchups, shop usage, dive tempo, hidden mechanics, and the biggest mistakes holding Black Cat players from climbing. Everything is timestamped, so if you're looking for something specific, you can just jump to it. And with that, let's get into it. Black Cat's mobility is what makes this character unfair when mastered. You have a double jump, 2 dashes, invisibility with movement speed, wall interaction resets, and one of the strongest snowball ultimates in the game. But most Black Cat players don't fully abuse her movement, and that's usually where the character starts to fall apart. Starting with her double jump. This is actually faster than normal movement, which means you should constantly be using it during fights and rotations. Every time you touch the ground, or reset through a wall interaction, phantom pursuit, claw whip, or dash, you regain it. This becomes insanely important in aerial fights. You can stay airborne against flyers and pressure vertical angles instead of instantly losing space. One mistake I see a lot of Black Cat players make is treating the double jump like a panic button instead of part of her movement cycle. You want your movement to feel fluid and constant. I highly recommend binding the double jump to scroll wheel. It makes it faster and smoother. Next is your dash. This works similarly to Black Panther's dash. You have 2 charges, and when you hit someone with it, you gain 150 gold per hit. That means this ability is doing 3 things at once: movement, survivability, and economy generation. This is one of the biggest reasons Black Cat snowballs so hard. But this is also where a lot of players throw the fights. If you engage using both dashes, you have no exit plan. You usually die immediately once cooldowns are gone. Good Black Cat players are constantly thinking, how do I get out after I go in? That's where we go into the next part. Let's talk about the crown. This is one of the strongest tools in her entire kit. It gives invisibility and movement speed, which lets you reposition, reset fights, create flank angles, and completely change your engagement timing. But there's an important catch. Taking damage briefly reveals you, and using shop items or abilities cancels out invisibility. So timing matters a lot. One of the common mistakes is using crown too early before the fight actually develops. If the enemy already knows where you are, the invisibility loses a lot of value. I also highly recommend binding this to an easy mouse button. You'll use it constantly. And if you're using shop binds correctly, you can instantly buy an item while moving without losing tempo. And now let's talk about her ultimate. This is her strongest mobility tool and the main reason the character completely snowballs out of control. It's a 2-part ability. The first cast lets you dash to a target. The second one performs a slash that does heavy amounts of damage and grants 300 gold. And if the target is low enough, the slash executes them instantly when the card above their head turns red. But here's a mechanic most players don't understand. If your target dies before the second slash comes out, you don't get the full dash reset back. It resets the timer, but not the dash. This lets you chain kills together extremely fast. And that's why good Black Cat players feel almost impossible to stop once they get momentum. Every kill gives more gold, more damage, more resets, and more pressure. Now let's talk about the shop. This is probably the most confusing part of Black Cat's kit for newer players. She technically has multiple items, but realistically there's only a few ones that you need to keep track of. So instead of explaining every single item equally, I'm going to explain the ones that actually matter in real ranked games. First is the Flame Orb. This is your main source of information. It reveals enemies through walls within its range. This is extremely useful for tracking flankers, spotting dive setups, controlling rotations, and setting up engagement before the fight even starts. But placement matters. If you throw this in an obvious spot, it will get destroyed instantly and give no value. Good Flame Orbs is in a position where they can't get to it, but it gives you all the information you need. Next is the Crown. Like I said, this is going to be one of your most favorite items in the game. It gives speed and invisibility. It also allows a Black Cat to engage freely without having to worry about the enemy seeing them. Just remember, any damage will reveal you. Next is the Fish. Fish is honestly one of the most broken utility tools in her kit. Inside the zone, mobility abilities gets disabled and flying heroes gets grounded. This can completely destroy dives and momentum. You can use it to trap divers, stop escapes, deny ult engages, or force tanks to fully commit. It's especially strong against dive heavy comps. There's also the gambling item, and honestly I rarely use this. The idea is simple. You sacrifice some of your gold to get more gold potentially. But personally, I value reliable information and fight control more than random gold spikes. That said, if you're already ahead, this can make snowballing even more ridiculous. Portal. Portal is powerful, but extremely team dependent. It allows teammates to rotate through walls and create short flank paths. The issue is in solo queue coordination. Without communication, most teams won't fully use it. So while it can be strong, I treat it as a situational dependent utility instead of a default buy. The CC immunity item is very situational. Most of the time, Black Cat already avoids CC naturally through her movement and ability timings. So personally, I don't find myself using this item much. But against heavy layered crowd control, it can help save fights. Now moving on to matchups. Black Cat absolutely farms most supports, especially Loki. His clones are basically slot machines that you can just keep pumping out gold with. And because Black Cat can instantly reach the backline with mobility and burst, most supports struggle to survive against her pressure. The only matchup I feel that I can't deal with is Jeff the Landshark, but that feels like more of a me issue than an actual, counter. Most DPS matchups are playable, but certain characters make your life miserable. Any character that denies movement, controls space, or wins extended duels becomes a real problem. Characters like Daredevil, Psylocke, and Phoenix are some of the most hardest matchups in my experience. And because of that, I usually recommend banning Daredevil and Phoenix. One mistake I see a lot of Black Cat players make is forcing bad dives into bad matchups. You don't always have to engage first, and sometimes waiting for them to make the first mistake is the way to go. Most tanks are manageable since you'll be ignoring them anyways. Even the Thing usually isn't too threatening because your mobility avoids most of his grounded pressure. The biggest issue is tanks that disrupt dive tempo. Hulk can shield the backline and force you out before you even get a kill. Thor can shove you out of position and bully your engagements if you mismanage movement. But it's still good because you're forcing out cooldowns instead of getting a kill. These are mechanics and interactions that separate the average Black Cat players from the players that hard carry ranked games. Free gold abuse. There are multiple ways to generate free gold that most players completely ignore. Loki clones are basically free money. Hit them whenever possible. Hulk also gives money whenever he demechs, and you can damage his body during the animation, so it's free gold that you can just keep hitting him. Damage optimization. Your combo damage changes depending when and where you use your gold. On a single target, Phantom Pursuit into Whip does more damage than 2 whips. So understanding gold economy directly with your potential burst is the way to go. When diving, you should almost always combine Phantom Pursuit and Whip pressure together. And if there's multiple group targets, use your Whip. You gain so much gold and hit every single target, which generates more and more gold, which keeps you in the fight longer. One mistake weaker Black Cat players make is overcommitting to one target instead of going for group targets. You get gold based on hitting multiple people, and your cooldowns are specific to gold, so you want to maximize how much you're doing with how much you're hitting. You need to constantly track your cooldowns, gold, and escape routes. The last thing you want to do is try and buy a crown to escape, and then realize you're 50 gold short, which is one person you could have hit to get that gold. The fastest way to kill someone with your ultimate: pounce in, whip, dash, press Q during the dash, slash, and then whip. This converts ultimate into a burst extremely fast before enemies can react. You can also hold left click during a dash to buffer a primary attack. This is similar to Black Panther and allows you to squeeze out extra damage and gold while moving. A consistent bread and butter combo is dash while holding left click, primary hit, whip, Phantom Pursuit, whip. This is your standard engagement when you already have a positioning advantage. There are hero specific interactions you need to know. Daredevil and the radar in Lower Manhattan can reveal you through crown invisibility. You can avoid Doctor Strange ult with proper Phantom Pursuit timing. Abuse the fish! Fish is insanely strong into dive ultimates because the movement gets disabled inside the zone, and spamming fish can trigger DC immunity, so make sure you watch out for that. There are hidden map restrictions that people rarely talk about. Certain railings and geometry pieces will cause the flame orb to break, so knowing where to actually put it and what things will break it is important to know. And one final mechanic a lot of players forget is you cannot buy another item while you have an item. You have to use the item first before you can buy another one. And always watch for the red execute card above enemy's head instead of guessing what the lethal range is. What holds most Black Cat players back usually comes down to 2 things. First, they don't fully understand the character itself, movement, combos, item usage, and decision making. And second, they don't understand dive tempo. They go in too early, misengage timings, or force bad fights, or don't recognize that, they're down 4 players and they're taking a 2v6. And those 2 problems alone can completely stop players from climbing. And that's why in my next video, The Joy of Diving, is going deeper into dive fundamentals. I'm covering map routes, mega health pack controls, dive timing, engagement theory, and how to carry with every dive DPS. So if you want to improve in your dive gameplay overall, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss it. Hopefully this guide filled in some of the gaps and gave you some tools to push to that next rank with Black Cat. And with that, I'll see you on the next one.